I always knew my spare wing would end up being someone else's sanctuary. That's just how it worked in my family. Everything I built somehow became Nicole's birthright. My name is Annika, and I've spent 20 years being the family's silent partner. The one who writes checks but doesn't get Christmas cards. The daughter who pays bills but doesn't get birthday calls. I thought I'd made peace with it until the flood changed everything. The basement is completely underwater, Mom's voice crackled through my phone. Wayne, stop touching that wire. Annika, we need help. I was already grabbing my keys. I'm on my way. Have you called the insurance company? Your father's handling it, she said dismissively. Nicole's here with the kids. They're hysterical. Of course they were. I could hear Olive's theatrical wailing in the background, probably more excited by the drama than actually scared. My sister had always been good at teaching her kids how to command attention. I'll be there in 20. My guest wing is ready whenever you need it. Oh, thank goodness, Mom sighed. Nicole was so worried about where they'd stay. I gripped my steering wheel tighter, but kept my voice steady. I meant for you and Dad. Don't be silly, dear. Nicole has the children. They need the space more than we do. We'll stay with your Aunt Margaret. The familiar sting barely registered anymore. I focused on navigating the flooded streets, dodging debris while making calls to contractors and restoration companies. By the time I pulled up to my childhood home, 3 moving trucks were already parked outside. Auntie Annie? Emmett's small figure darted toward me through the rain. At least one person was genuinely happy to see me. I hugged him close. Hey, buddy, scary day, huh? Mom says we're staying at your house now? His eyes lit up. Can I bring my Xbox? I guess so. I tried to smile, watching movers carry furniture I didn't recognize toward their trucks. Where is your mom? Inside directing traffic. Dad appeared beside me, looking exhausted. Good to see you, sweetheart. Dad, what's going on? I thought we'd discuss Annika! Nicole burst out the front door, designer rain boots somehow matching her perfectly styled hair. Thank God you're here. The movers don't know where to put my sectional. Can you show them the layout? I stared at her. Your sectional? For the guest wing? Mom said you offered it to us. She barely paused for breath. The kids need their own space. You know how it is. Well, I guess you don't. But trust me. We need room to spread out. Nicole? I started, but Mom appeared behind her. Annika, stop standing around in the rain. Help your sister get settled. Her tone left no room for discussion. The children are traumatized. We need to make this transition as smooth as possible. I watched them coordinate my home's invasion like it was a military operation. Nicole's husband, Trey, gave me an apologetic shrug as he carried boxes past. Even he knew this wasn't right, but nobody was going to say it. My phone buzzed, a text from Michaela. How's the family crisis? I typed back. They're moving Nicole into my house without asking. Her response was instant. WTF? Girl, grow a spine. But she didn't understand. This was just another Tuesday in my family. I was the responsible one, the stable one, the one who could handle it. Nicole was the one who needed protecting, supporting, coddling. Even now, watching her direct movers to rearrange my furniture, I could hear Mom praising her resilience. I stood in my driveway as the rain soaked through my clothes, mentally calculating how long it would take them to drain and repair the house. 2 months? 3? I thought about the insurance policy I'd been secretly paying for years, the one Dad had let lapse back when Nicole's wedding ate up their savings. They didn't know the flood wasn't nature's worst blow that week. I was. Are you absolutely sure about this, Annika? Yvonne's concerned voice had filled my car just hours before I'd arrived at my parents' house. Once I processed this cancellation, there's no going back. I'd pulled into a gas station, needing to make this call away from prying ears. How long have you known I was the one paying? 5 years, he sighed. Wayne asked me not to tell anyone. Said he'd handle it with Zoe. But he never did he? I gripped my phone tighter. Just like he never told her about the second mortgage I paid off, or Nicole's student loans. Your father, he means well. Meaning well isn't enough anymore. I watched rain streak down my windshield. Processed the cancellation. Now, standing in my kitchen watching Nicole arrange her family photos on my walls, that conversation felt like it had happened in another lifetime. Michaela perched on my counter, shooting daggers at my sister's back. So they just moved in without asking? She whispered. Keep your voice down, I warned, though Nicole was too busy critiquing my paint colors to notice. This shade of gray is so corporate, Nicole called over her shoulder. We should warm it up, make it more family-friendly. The kids need color. Michaela's eyes widened. Oh, hell no. It's fine, I muttered, but my hands shook as I poured coffee. Annika, Mom's voice carried from the guest wing. Where do you keep your extra blankets? Olive refuses to sleep without her special weighted blanket, and it's still wet from the flood. Top shelf, whole closet? I called back automatically. Useful, always useful. The good ones, dear, not those polyester things. Michaela grabbed my arm. When are you going to tell them? Tell us what? Nicole turned, finally paying attention. Is something wrong? The doorbell saved me from answering. Ivan stood there looking apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, but I need signatures on some forms. Mom appeared instantly. Oh, good, the insurance paperwork. We'll need to file claims immediately. Actually, Ivan cleared his throat. I need to speak with Wayne. Is he here? He's assessing damage at the house. Mom waved dismissively. I can sign whatever's needed. I'm afraid not, Zoe. The policyholder needs to... What do you mean, policyholder? Mom's voice sharpened. Wayne and I both... Mom, I cut in quietly. You haven't been policyholders for 5 years. The silence that followed felt like glass about to shatter. What are you talking about? Nicole demanded. The house insurance lapsed in 2018, I continued, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Right after you needed help with your destination wedding. But that's impossible, Mom shook her head. We never missed a payment. No, I agreed. You didn't. I did. Understanding dawned on Ivan's face. Annika, when you called earlier, I canceled it. I finished for him. This morning. You what? Nicole's shriek made me wince. You can't do that. Mom stepped toward me. That house is our legacy, our anchor. We'll never lose it? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You lost it the moment you decided I was your ATM instead of your daughter? How dare you? Mom's face flushed red. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me? My voice rose despite myself. Name one thing, Mom. One thing you've done for me that didn't eventually become about Nicole. That's not fair, Nicole protested, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. Fair? I gestured around my invaded home. Was it fair when you moved into my house without asking? When you started redecorating before your boxes were unpacked? Annika. Ivan touched my arm gently. Maybe we should discuss this later. No, I stepped back. No more later. No more quietly fixing everything while they take and take and take. Wayne knew about this. Mom's voice had gone dangerously quiet. He knew you were paying? Ivan hesitated, then nodded. Mom grabbed her phone, presumably to call Dad. Nicole started crying, probably realizing what no insurance meant for their renovation plans. Michaela watched it all with grim satisfaction, but I felt lighter than I had in years. The mask was finally off, and I couldn't bring myself to regret it. These light fixtures are so dated, Nicole sighed, stretching out on my couch like she owned it. We should really update them before we get too settled. I kept chopping vegetables for dinner, pretending I hadn't heard. It had been 3 days since the insurance revelation, and somehow Nicole had turned it into her own personal crisis. Mom's still not speaking to Dad, she continued. Can you believe he kept that secret from her for so long? The knife hit the cutting board harder than necessary. Fascinating how that's what bothers you about this situation. What's that supposed to mean? The front door opened before I could respond. Dad shuffled in, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "Hey, sweetheart," he mumbled, heading straight for my liquor cabinet. "Sure, help yourself," I muttered, but poured him a glass anyway. Some habits die hard. "Daddy?" Nicole sat up. "Did you talk to the contractors? What did they say about the kitchen remodel?" He took a long drink. "There won't be a remodel, Nicole." "What?" "But Mom promised." "Your mother promised a lot of things with money we didn't have." His voice carried an edge I'd never heard before. "Money your sister apparently provided." Nicole's face crumpled. "But the kids need..." "The kids need?" I slammed the knife down. "The kids need what exactly? A custom playroom in my house? New fixtures?" "Tell me, Nicole, what else do your kids need that I should provide?" "Annika," Dad warned. "No." I turned to face them both. "Do you remember when I was 16 and needed braces? Mom said we couldn't afford them, but that same month, Nicole got a horse." "That was different," Nicole protested. "I was going through a hard time." "You were always going through a hard time." The words exploded out of me. Every time you wanted something, it was because you were sensitive or struggling or needed extra support. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs through college, took out loans, and still ended up paying for your degree. "I didn't know about that," she whispered. "Of course you didn't. You never had to know about money, did you? That was my job." My phone buzzed. "Michaela, FEMA's coming tomorrow. You ready?" "Girls," Dad set his glass down. "We need to figure this out as a family." "Figure what out?" Mom's voice made us all jump. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "How our daughter betrayed us, humiliated us?" "Zoe," Dad started. "No, Wayne, you don't get to speak." She turned to me. "You're strong, Annika. You've always been strong. Nicole needs..." "Stop." My voice was quiet but firm. "Just stop." "Excuse me?" I said stop. "I'm done being strong so Nicole can be weak. I'm done being useful so she can be loved." "That's ridiculous," Mom scoffed. "We love you both equally." "When's my birthday, Mom?" She blinked. "What?" "My birthday. Tell me the date." The silence stretched painfully. "It's March 12th, Dad offered quietly. "September 3rd, I corrected. "Nicole's is March 12th. Mom's face flushed. "You're being dramatic." "Am I?" I picked up my phone, showing them Michaela's text. "FEMA's coming tomorrow. They'll want to know why there's no insurance. Should I be dramatic about that too?" "You have to fix this," Nicole pleaded. "Please, Annika, for the kids." I looked at her, really looked at her, my little sister, who'd never had to grow up because I'd carried all her weight, who was sitting in my home, planning renovations, still expecting me to solve everything. "No," I said simply. "No, no." I smiled, and it felt real for the first time in years. "I'm not fixing this. I'm not paying for it. I'm not your safety net anymore." "But..." "Dinner's ready," I announced, setting plates on the table. "We can eat in silence, or you can all go to your rooms. Your choice." They stared at me like I'd grown a second head, but slowly, one by one, they sat down. We ate in tense silence, the only sound Olive's occasional whine about the vegetables. My phone buzzed again. "Ivan." "Wayne asked me something interesting years ago, about beneficiaries. We should talk." I put my phone away, watching my family pick at their food. Tomorrow would bring FEMA and facts and consequences. But tonight, for the first time, I wasn't the only one carrying the weight of our secrets. The FEMA inspector's boots left muddy prints on what remained of my parents' hardwood floors. Mom hovered behind him, wringing her hands as he took photos and measurements. "And when did you first notice the water damage?" he asked, scribbling on his clipboard. "Last Tuesday," Dad answered, "around midnight." "Insurance provider?" The silence that followed was deafening. We currently don't have active coverage, Dad managed. The inspector looked up sharply. No coverage? At all? There's been a misunderstanding, Mom cut in. Our daughter... I'll need to note that in the report, he interrupted. Without insurance, federal assistance will be limited. Very limited. Nicole, who'd insisted on coming along, sank into one of the few dry chairs. But what about repairs? The kitchen remodel? The inspector gave her an odd look. Ma'am, you're looking at complete foundation damage. Remodeling should be the least of your concerns. How much? Dad asked quietly. Ballpark? $200,000 to make it livable again. More if you want to address the pre-existing issues I'm seeing. Mom grabbed the wall for support. $200,000? Trey has some savings, Nicole offered weakly. His retirement account. Don't you dare, I snapped, speaking for the first time. Don't you dare drain his retirement for this. Then what are we supposed to do? She shot back. This is our childhood home. No, this is a house you never had to worry about maintaining because someone else always handled it. I turned to the inspector. What's the timeline for demolition assessment? Annika, Mom gasped. You can't be serious. Actually, the inspector nodded, demolition might be your best option. The structure's compromised. Even with repairs, you'd have ongoing issues. Wayne, Mom pleaded, say something. Dad stood by the window, staring at the waterlogged yard where he'd taught us to ride bikes. She's right, Zoe. It's time to let go. Let go? Mom's voice rose hysterically. Of our legacy? Of everything we built? Everything I built, I corrected. Everything I paid for. Everything I maintained while you all played happy family. You really did it, didn't you? Dad turned to face me. You really dropped the mask. Someone had to. Nicole started crying softly. Where will we go? You're already living in my house, I reminded her. Uninvited, but there you are. About that, Trey appeared in the doorway, looking uncomfortable. The kids are asking when we can go home. To our actual home. Nicole's head snapped up. What? They miss their rooms, Nick. Their friends. Their routine. He shifted awkwardly. Maybe we should think about... We can't afford our mortgage without Mom and Dad's help, she blurted out, then immediately covered her mouth. The inspector cleared his throat. I'll give you folks some privacy. Here's my card with the preliminary findings. After he left, the truth hung heavy in the air. What do you mean, their help? I asked slowly. Nicole wouldn't meet my eyes. Trey looked at the floor. They've been paying half our mortgage, he admitted. Since Olive was born. I turned to Dad. Seriously? After I co-signed for them? They needed help, he said weakly. And now? I laughed bitterly. Now that the bank account's empty and the house is gone, who's going to help them? You could, Mom suggested with breathtaking audacity. You've always been so good with money, dear. The rage that filled me was Arctic cold. No. But, get out. My voice was steel. All of you, get out. Go back to my house that you invaded, pack your things, and get out. You don't mean that, Nicole whispered. I do. I pulled out my phone and dialed. Ivan, start the demolition paperwork. Yes, I'm sure. Mom crumpled into Dad's arms. Nicole stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Trey just looked relieved. You have until Friday, I told them, walking toward the door. After that, I'm changing the locks. Annika, please, Dad called after me. You dropped the mask, fine, but don't drop us too. I paused in the doorway. You dropped me first, Dad. You just never noticed the sound I made when I hit bottom. I knew. Dad's voice caught me off guard as I sorted through old photos in my home office. Everyone else had gone to bed, but he'd been waiting in the shadows. I knew you were paying the insurance, paying for everything. Then why didn't you say anything? He sank into my desk chair, looking defeated. Because I was ashamed. Every time I saw your signature on another check, I felt like less of a father. So you let Mom keep believing the fairy tale? Let Nicole keep taking and taking? It was easier, he admitted. Your mother, she has certain expectations about how life should be. And Nicole is exactly what Mom made her, I finished. Helpless, entitled, perfect. A crash from the guest wing made us both jump. Olive's voice carried through the walls. But I want ice cream. It's midnight, I muttered. She's terrorizing them even now. Nicole's struggling, Dad said quietly. Trey mentioned therapy. Good, she needs it. I closed the photo album. But not here. Not anymore. Where will they go? That's not my problem. He leaned forward. Annika, please. Just tell me why now. After all these years of helping, why pull the rug out? Because I'm tired, my voice cracked. I'm tired of being the family ATM. Tired of watching Nicole redecorate my house like she owns it. Tired of Mom treating me like a backup plan. You never meant a lot of things, Dad. But you let them happen anyway. Another crash, followed by Nicole's ineffective scolding. Dad winced. Remember when I got into Harvard? I asked suddenly. He nodded. Full scholarship, but I couldn't go because Nicole was having a hard time and needed me close to home. I laughed bitterly. She was having boy trouble. That's what I gave up Harvard for, boy trouble. Mom thought Nicole's latest drama was more important than my future, like always. I stood up. And you let her think that, like always. The door burst open. Nicole stood there in her designer pajamas, looking frantic. Olive won't sleep. She keeps asking for her special blanket from home. Then go home and get it, I suggested. Annika, please, can't you help? You're so good with her. No. But I said no. I walked past her. In fact, pack up tonight. All of you. I want you gone by morning. You can't do this. She grabbed my arm. We're family. Family? I jerked away. Family doesn't take advantage. Family doesn't move in without asking. Family doesn't expect one person to carry everyone's weight. I didn't know, she shouted back. I didn't know about the money, about Harvard, about any of it. Because you never asked. You never once looked at me and wondered how I could afford to help so much on a normal salary. You just took and took and took. Dad stepped between us. Girls, please. No, I pushed past him. I'm done playing happy family. I'm done pretending everything's okay while you all live in my pocket. Get out, all of you. Wayne? Mom appeared in her robe. What's happening? Pack your bags, I told her. You too. Hotel, friend's house, I don't care. Just get out of my home. But the children are not my responsibility. I was shouting now, years of silence finally breaking. None of you are my responsibility anymore. Olive's crying had stopped. In the doorway, Emmett stood watching us with wide eyes. For a moment, I saw myself at his age, watching adults fight about money, about fairness, about family. Emmy, I softened my voice, go pack your favorite toys, okay? You're going on an adventure tomorrow. He nodded solemnly and disappeared. Annika, Dad tried one last time. We can fix this. No, I shook my head. We can't. Some things, once broken, stay broken. Like trust, like family, like me. I walked to my bedroom and locked the door, ignoring their calls. Through the walls, I could hear them arguing, packing, planning. But for the first time in my life, their crisis wasn't my problem. I pulled out my phone and texted Michaela. I did it. I finally did it. Her response was immediate. Proud of you, girl. Now heal. The knock on my bedroom door came at midnight, just as I was finally drifting off. I knew it was Nicole before she spoke. She had a way of making even her knocking sound entitled. We need to talk, she said through the door. It's midnight. I found the files, her voice cracked. In Dad's study, all of them. Every check you wrote, every loan you paid, Harvard. God, Annika, why didn't you tell me? I opened the door. Nicole stood there clutching a stack of papers, her mascara smeared. Would you have listened? She pushed past me into my room, spreading documents across my bed. $200,000 for my student loans? The down payment on my house? Mom's medical bills? Her hands shook. The fucking horse? Surprised? I leaned against the wall. Or just disappointed the gravy train's over? Don't. She looked up sharply. Don't make me the villain. You're right. You're not the villain. I picked up a check from 2015. You're just the golden child who never had to think about where the gold came from. I thought Mom and Dad were broke, Nicole, have been for years. Every time they helped you, it was my money. She sank onto my bed. Why? Because they asked. Because you needed it. Because I was stupid enough to think if I just helped enough, they'd finally see me. I see you, she whispered. No, you see what you need right now. A sister with resources you want to tap. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about prom. Remember that? She flinched. Annika, you needed the perfect dress. $4,000. I was working 2 jobs, saving for college. Mum took my savings. Borrowed it, she said, never paid it back. I didn't know. You were crying about rhinestones while I was serving coffee at 5 a.m. I picked up another document. Or how about your wedding? That destination fantasy that somehow became my problem to finance? Stop. No, let's keep going. Your first house, your kids' private school, the family vacations I paid for but was too busy to join. I said stop. She stood up, tears streaming. You think I don't feel horrible? You think I wanted to be this person? I think you never thought about it at all. Because nobody told me, she screamed. Not you, not Dad, not Mom. You all just let me live in this bubble where everything worked out. And now the bubble's burst. I gestured around my room. Welcome to reality. She wiped her face. I want to fix this. You can't. Please, Annika, tell me what to do. I'll get a job. I'll sell the house. It's not about the money anymore. I started gathering the papers. It's about 20 years of being invisible in my own family, of watching you get everything while I got bills. I'll do better, she pleaded. We can start over. No, we can't. I handed her the stack. Some debts are past due, Nicole. This one included. The door opened again. Mom stood there, her face hard. Having a nice chat? She asked coldly. Enjoying turning your sister against us? Mom, don't, Nicole warned. You need to see these. I don't need to see anything, Mom stepped in. I raised you both, gave you everything. You gave her everything, I corrected. I gave everything. You embarrassed this family, Annika. She drew herself up. Are you proud now? I looked at her, really looked at her. My mother, who had spent decades crafting a perfect family image at my expense, who still couldn't see what she'd done. Yes, I said simply. I am proud. Proud I finally stopped letting you use me. Nicole started crying again. Mom's face went purple. Pack your things, I told them both. You have until morning. This isn't over, Mom threatened. Actually, it is. I opened my door wide. It's been over for years. I just finally admitted it. They left, Nicole clutching the papers, Mom radiating fury. I locked the door behind them and leaned against it, listening to their retreating footsteps. My phone lit up with a text from Ivan. Your father's asking about transferring property rights. Want to talk? I turned off my phone. Tomorrow would bring more drama, more revelations. But tonight, in the quiet of my reclaimed space, I finally felt at peace. The family meeting was Mom's idea. One last attempt to fix things, as she put it. We sat around my dining room table. the same one they'd been eating at uninvited for weeks, like strangers at a business negotiation. We need to discuss rebuilding options, Mom announced, spreading papers across the table. The contractor provided several payment plans. No, I didn't even look at the documents. Annika, be reasonable, she pressed. This is our family home. Was. I pushed the papers back. It was our family home. Now it's a tear-down property that none of us can afford. Nicole cleared her throat. Actually, Trey and I talked. We could take out a second mortgage. Absolutely not, Trey spoke up for the first time. We're already struggling with our first mortgage. The kids need stability. The kids need their grandparents' house, Nicole snapped. The kids need parents who aren't drowning in debt, I countered. Face reality, Nicole. The house is gone. Dad sat silently, staring at his hands. He hadn't spoken much since the FEMA visit. Wayne, Mom turned to him. Tell her about legacy, about family responsibility. Like my responsibility to bankroll everyone's dreams? I stood up. Here's what's going to happen. I'm selling the property once it's demolished. Whatever it brings, I'll split equally between all of us. You can't sell it, Mom's voice rose. We won't sign. Check the deed, I cut her off. Dad transferred ownership to me last week. The silence was deafening. Wayne? Mom's voice shook. Is this true? Dad finally looked up. It's her money that maintained it. Her name should be on it. How dare you? Mom's face contorted. After everything, what, Mom? I leaned forward. After every sacrifice I made, every dream I gave up, every check I wrote. We gave you life, she shouted. And I gave you everything else, I shouted back. My savings, my future, my chance at Harvard. Harvard? Nicole whispered. You got into Harvard? Full ride? Dad confirmed quietly. But your mother said you needed your sister close by. Remember that summer, Nicole? Your first breakup? Nicole's face crumpled. Oh, God. I'm done, I announced, pulling an envelope from my bag. Here's your last check from me, ever. Use it for a rental deposit, therapy, whatever, but we're finished. You're choosing money over family, Mom accused. No, I'm choosing myself over your idea of family. I stood up. Now get out of my house. Annika, Nicole reached for my hand. I know I messed up. I know we all did, but please, can't we try to fix this? Some things can't be fixed, Nicole. Some things shouldn't be. The children will be fine, better than fine, once their parents start living within their means. Trey nodded slowly. She's right, Nick. We need to stand on our own. Mom started gathering her papers with shaking hands. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Dad stood up. Zoe, we did this, all of us. We took advantage of her kindness until it broke. Dad, I started, but he cut me off. No, let me finish. I failed you, Annika, as a father, as a protector. I let your mother's dreams become your burden. I let Nicole's needs overshadow yours. I'm sorry. Mom stormed out, slamming the door. Nicole followed more slowly, pausing in the doorway. I really am sorry, she whispered, for everything. After they left, Dad handed me an envelope. From Ivan, I made some arrangements just in case. Inside was a life insurance policy naming me as sole beneficiary. Dad, it's not enough, he said quietly. Nothing could be, but it's something. He left before I could respond. Through my window, I watched them all drive away. Mom and Dad to their rented condo, Nicole and Trey to their overpriced house, taking their pieces of my final check with them. My phone buzzed. Michaela. You okay? I texted back. You all made this house into a prison a long time ago. I just unlocked the doors. Then I turned off my phone and started planning renovations for my newly empty guest wing. The demolition crew arrived on a sunny morning. I stood watching them tear down the walls of my childhood home, each crash of timber feeling like closure. You don't have to be here for this, Michaela said beside me. Yes, I do. My phone buzzed. Nicole, the kids keep asking about you. I ignored it, like I'd ignored the dozens before it. Mom's texts had stopped weeks ago. Dad's calls went straight to voicemail. Ms. Wilcox? The demolition foreman approached. We found something in the master bedroom wall. Looks like an old lockbox. The metal box was dented but intact. Inside, I found stacks of photos I'd never seen before. Me at graduation, receiving awards, at work events. Newspaper clippings about my promotions. A Harvard acceptance letter. He kept them, I whispered. Dad kept everything. Annika. I turned. Dad stood at the edge of the property, looking older than ever. The crew called me, he explained. Said they needed a final signature. I held up the lockbox. You collected these? Every achievement. Every moment your mother dismissed. Every time Nicole overshadowed you. He stepped closer. I was a coward. I couldn't stand up to your mother, so I hid your victories instead of celebrating them. Why are you here, Dad? Because I'm dying. The words hit like physical blows. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, he continued quietly. That's why I transferred everything to you. Why I changed the insurance. How long? Months, maybe weeks. He gestured at the demolition. I needed to see this before. Does Mom know? Not yet. Nicole neither. He smiled sadly. You're the strong one, remember. I needed to tell you first. The demolition crew waited respectfully as I processed this. I won't come back, I said finally. Not even for this. I know. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. But I hope you'll read this after. I took it without looking. Behind us, the crew resumed work, the house groaning as it came down. Your mother was wrong, he said suddenly. About everything, about you. Little late, Dad. I know that too. He turned to leave, then paused. That guest wing you're renovating? Make it into something just for you. Something they can never take. After he left, Michaela helped me sort through the lockbox. Every piece of paper documented a victory I'd achieved alone, a dream I'd pursued in silence. He was proud of you, she said softly, in his own broken way. My phone buzzed again. Nicole. Dad told us. Please call me. I turned off my phone and watched the rest of the demolition. By sunset, the house was gone, leaving nothing but clean earth and possibility. At home, I opened Dad's envelope. Inside was a single photo, me at 16, proudly holding up my Harvard acceptance letter. On the back, he'd written, I should have fought for this dream. I should have fought for all of them. Below that, in shaking current handwriting, the house is gone, but you're still standing. You were always the strongest part of our foundation. I pinned the photo to my office wall right where the guest wing used to be. The space was becoming my art studio, something I'd always wanted but never prioritized over family needs. My landline rang, the only number Nicole still had. The funeral will be small, she said when I answered. He made that clear in his will, along with everything else. Everything else? He left Mum the condo, left me enough to pay off the mortgage. She paused. Left you his grandfather's art collection, the one Mum always said was worthless. I looked at the empty walls of my studio. Did he say why? Said you'd know what to do with beautiful things, that you always did. After we hung up, I stood in my renovated space, surrounded by blank walls waiting to be filled. Outside, the sun set on the empty lot where our house once stood. I didn't burn the bridge to my family. I just took the hammer out of their hands. And somehow, in the end, Dad had helped me build something new from the ruins. Something that was finally, completely mine.